there, guys, it's Malorian, and this is going to be another Malorian Spotlight. I'm back from Brawlers, so I can start doing these again. And for those who don't remember what a Spotlight is for me, it's kind of, I'm looking at somebody else's battle report. I'm going to be covering their list, their deployments, and how they played the game. And in that way, I'm kind of giving, hopefully, a little bit of insight to them. And as well, you guys know about a new channel that you guys can go and check out if you don't know about them already. So the one for this week is going to be Gommo's Itchy Nuisance. And at first, I was like, oh, that's awesome. It's going to be an Orc and Goblin one. I'm going to be all over this. But it turned out it was going to be Bretonnians versus Empire. So another difference here is the past two ones, they've actually sent me the actual video, which I just now slide in and I talk at the end. For this one here, he has his own video on his YouTube channel, which I'm going to link down below so you can go see it. But he sent me the pictures, so I'm not going to go through it. I'm going to talk it through it there, which will probably cover most of my points, and then you'll see my stuff at the very end. So let's go check out the report. Alright, so the first picture here is going to be of the magic. Now, this is kind of the first thing that I saw was kind of interesting with the list, because what he has here is a level 4 of metal, a level 2 of light, and a level 1 of light. So at first, it's kind of like a whole light council here, because he has banishment from the cards there, the world, but most people go for a level 4 of light after that, so you can double banishment. But here he's gone with metal. Now, that does give you some diversity. The synergy isn't quite there, but at least in this game here, of course, Bretonnians, it is a great lore to have. Otherwise, the Bretonnians have a level 4 that have these 4 heaven spells: Wind Blast, the Comet, Thunderbolt, and Chain Lightning. And he also sent the picture of the beer they were drinking. This was not really like an ultra competitive game. It was kind of a more casual thing. But they were using tournament lists. So just, just something to keep in mind there. So looking at his list here from left to right, you guys should have already seen the list scroll down, but you can see he has knights. Then he has the halberdiers, where he has some of the characters inside, 2 detachments of archers on either side, and he has mages in those as well. Then in the back he has a hurricanum, a hellblaster, a cannon, the Pope-mobile, then he has the demi-griffs, the steam tank, and then some more knights. Now, on the other side there, kind of the left to right, I hope we're going to have a better picture of this coming up here, but one of the things I want to talk about first is more of the terrain. First of all, one thing Bretonnians don't like seeing is a river. So, the terrain right there kind of hurts them, need to deal with that river. But then again, looking at this here, it wasn't really taken advantage of. I mean, it was just kind of a regular pitch battle game. And so what the Empire could have done is really just gone off to the far left here and put the river between them and saying, all right, come at me. You will take dangerous terrain, and as well, you're going to have no steadfast. So that's one thing that was possibly missed out on. Another thing here, you can see there's a couple of forests, but there's also this big hill right smack in the board. And something that's important to talk about is that they play with the rules that hills are as high to the sky type thing. So you cannot see things on the other side. And this gives them another interesting tactical possibility where, of course, Bretonnians need the charge. The Empire models do not. And so the other opportunity here is the base around the right flank. And by doing that, you'd be putting up your halberdiers right behind the hill, saying, go on, go into the hill. I'll charge you. Your fast elements can be there too. He does have a Lord. I mean, the Bretonians, of course, have the heroic killing blow, so the steam tank isn't invincible. You don't want to just throw it into anything, but it can really be a threat, which can be up there on the other side of the hill, so it can charge you, but you can't. They can't charge him. So I really think, again, that this wide deployment was not probably the right thing to do. Another thing I was kind of wondering too with this is the characters being in the little archer units up front. I guess I mean, normally that'd be a little bit scary because you're worried about shooting, killing your sorcerers and stuff, and they should be back in a bunker, but there's not really the bunkers here. You know, I almost wonder if maybe those 2 units of 5 archers should have been 10 archers, and then you'd have a solid bunker to hide in the back. But we're going to get to army lists a little bit later. This is just kind of showing close-up of the army. So here you can look in and see. I don't really know which of these mages were in which. I'm assuming the 2 light ones will be inside the archer detachments, and then the BSB and the level 4 and the witch hunter, they're all going to be inside the halberdiers. And this is kind of more showing the right side as well. And the Polmobile going sideways, I don't really understand what, I mean, maybe just because he's used to going against cannons, and that's like the safe thing to do, but this is Bretonians, so it's just going to be trebuchets anyway. So I don't know if that was out of habit or what the idea was here. I mean, especially because you're against Bretonians and you know you're going first. So don't really know why he was set up like that, but it's not really a deal breaker or anything. Over here, I guess we're just kind of seeing how pretty the line is, and it is nice, I mean, having a battle report with fully painted models, so that's always nice to see. Otherwise here, we're looking at the Bretonians up on the hill. We have a trebuchet with the archers in front, which have their nice little defensive stakes. We have some mounted yeomen, which have vanguarded up to the hill. Meanwhile, he has his big units of knights there, and then another treb with more archers on the other side. So the big lance, that's the one that's going to be really having all their characters in there. It's kind of like the thing like Anthony was doing, where all in the front you have all your guys, your tough characters with rerollable saves and all this stuff. However, he doesn't have Savage Beasts to really help him out. So that's really the biggest worry. And then over on this flank, he also has some Peg Knights, which have Vanguard up, and a little small unit of these are actually the Grail Knights, which actually have the Twilight banner. So it was almost perfectly suited for them to kind of deal with this terrain and to be able to get through it. So otherwise, on the first turn, they're kind of just moving up and getting ready for things on the left. You can see now that he's kind of pulled back the 1 unit of archers to be the bunker in the back so that both characters can join. The other one's just kind of there on the side trying to look at the Peg Knights. I believe actually he said the Knights declared a charge on the Peg Knights just to try and scare them off. I don't know if you really want to mess with that stuff, but it's... You know, we might get lucky. You never know. Otherwise, on the right side, he's kind of going up to the hill here as well. Again, I mean, looking at this, I really wish he would have really pushed hard onto the being behind the hill with some of his bigger units. You know, the halberdiers, which are slow, they're the ones that want to be behind the hill. Meanwhile, he has the demigriffs on the hill, which are fast, that don't really need this speed benefit, right? The demigriffs could have been on the flank, going hard like those knights as well that are over there. On the turn here, we get off Searing Doom, and this is going to be against this knight unit here on the left, the red and white. And it's going to be losing a few guys. Like I said, lower metal is pretty nasty against Bretonians because you're wounding them on a 2+, and from their blessing, they're only going to get the 6+ because there's no real strength value associated with it. Then after this, he's also getting an irresistible force banishment, and that's going to kill all but 1 knight. So very, very devastating first turn magic. I mean, really, losing a lance just right off the bat there really, really hurts. In his battle report, he was mentioning that he was this last knight was going to be haunting him because he was going to run away. But I mean, given this list with the banishments and the range magic, picking off one last model near the end isn't that big of a deal, and it's probably bigger that you've just eliminated this amount of a strong force going in. But then again, we're talking about an area that has like the 20-0 system, so every bit of points count, right? It's not like you're going for the 100-point win. You know, if you don't get these points, a win that's just going to be like, say, a 12-8 is like, you know, it's not that great of a win. Otherwise, over here, he goes after this trebuchet, and he talks about how he doesn't really know what math to use to go after trebs. And just to explain the trick here, if cannonballs ever hit those defensive stakes, they're just going to stop. And so what happens here is people put their Bretonnians in front so that if your cannons are going after the trebs, it's going to hopefully hit the wall and you lose a cannon shot. And that's what happened here. So really, for those who are facing trebuchets and you're not knowing where is the right spot to place it, you want to be putting the cannonball so it's aimed towards the back corner of the trebuchet, and such that a 2-inch starting roll is going to take you just over the defensive stakes. That way, you are pretty much, you are guaranteed you will never hit those defensive stakes. And sure, if you roll a 10 or something, you might sail right over, but it really heavily puts the math in your favor, and you should be able to hit these things. So unfortunately, really lost out here trying to hit this trebuchet. Otherwise, I believe he shoots the other cannon here, and then it only does like 1 wound, or he rolls like a 1 to wound. So, you know, you can't fix for bad luck. Otherwise, over here, the Trebs or the Pegasus Knights are coming up. And when he's moving around the side here, this is really what it looks like. So he's not really advancing too much. You know, the one knight is going back to hide. The other knights are almost like resetting up to go around the right side. But really, as it stands right now, especially after losing that one lance, they just are not in a position to be able to be pushing forward too hardly. Otherwise, over here, what's kind of happening is he has the knights kind of facing off with these mounted yeomen. And another little close-up here. I didn't go through and remove a bunch of pictures. I want you to see all the pictures he wanted you to see. I mean, I'm sure there could be other interesting things. I'm sure the big thing is that the mounted yeomen are going to be stopping these knights just from rampaging through to get to the archers and the trebuchet. But hell, you know, even if they really wanted to, they could just pass the march test and go around them and get there for next turn. So otherwise, the trebuchets rain down, and man, trebuchets are such a nasty war machine, and if there's one thing they're good at, it's killing infantry. And so it's going to be hitting the halberdiers straight on and decimating them, and then he's going to hit them again. Over here, between some shooting and whatever magic, he's able to kill some of these knights over here, which they're not really a core, you know, part of his force, so it's not that big of a deal. Meanwhile, over here, he goes into the mounted yeoman, so that's going to be a pretty easy win. And he also reforms like this. And okay, I have to explain the reasoning. The reasoning for doing this is because if you're getting smashed by trebuchets, if you go into a single line, you're not going to be hit as much. However, he's now put himself into a position where they're effectively useless. You know, looking at, he said he already commented that he didn't really notice the lance on the left, but man, it doesn't even matter. I mean, really, they are just completely useless. So I think reforming to be, you know, 5 wide, that might have been the right thing to do, switch reform back, sub type thing. But going with this wide formation, definitely a key mistake. Otherwise, another one of the ones that he says straight up is a key mistake is he decides to say, screw it, let's go up onto a hill. So the demigriffs and the archlector go up onto the hill, and remember, that's now going to allow him to get the charge, him being the Bretonnian opponent, to get the charge onto the demigriffs, which is not what you want. You want that going the other way. So this is definitely not good. Otherwise, over here, he's just really setting up the steam tank so it can be shooting at that Treb again. And after this is all done, you can see that the other lands here are starting to be really whittled down through magic or what have you. And yeah, this is actually with the metal here. Metal magic is so bloody against Bretonnians. It's nasty. Otherwise, over here, the shot at the trebuchet fails to kill it. And the shot over here fails to kill as well. I believe it does like 1 wound or something like that. So really not working out against these trebuchets. In the fight here, this really sucked. He only killed 3 of them, and so that's going to make it so, well, they held because they got pretty lucky, and now they can be countercharged if they want. So what really happens is the knights on the left do a charge onto this big long line of halberdiers. He's forced to charge, or flee rather, and causing tons of panic tests, and luckily he passes them all. But yeah, definitely this is not very good. Otherwise over here, you can kind of see how he wanted to redirect against the knights, but he failed. Except the Pegasus Knights, they were able to go into these knights. And yeah, 3 Peg Knights will beat 3 of regular Knights. So otherwise, he has the big lance going to the Hippogriffs, or not Hippogriffs, the Demigriffs. And this is going to hurt, because Demigriffs are good, but they're only going to be fighting 3 of them and getting a crap ton of attacks. Yeah, and he's just reinforcing what a bad idea this was, because the front rank is all full of characters. And this is meant to be cracking units like this. Here's just kind of an overall of the board before things go horrendous. Over here, showing how I believe the comet. You see that little token there? He places a comet back here, and this is really bad, right? Back here, you have all these kind of softer units, and that comet is just going to blow this stuff up. Still showing that combat. Still showing this here. Then the trebuchet comes down, and it's going to be actually going after the cannon, which is actually probably what those trebuchets should have been doing the whole time. You know, going after those halberdiers are nice, but it'd be nice if the cannons weren't taking out the trebuchets to begin with. So, yeah, it really depends on the way the Bretonnian player plays it. But especially when they were holding back that first turn and not charging in, they might have wanted to take out the cannon. It's always kind of a judgment call. You need to kind of kill the halberdiers kind of to help out, but then again, with the super lance, all of a sudden you're getting past that steadfast anyway. Over here, he kills the knights, the single knight gets away. And over here, he defeats the demigriffs and runs them down. So all of a sudden, the strong position the Empire could have been in is completely broken, and now they're being overran on both sides while they're also in the middle of a comet landing. Blurry picture of over here where the knights finally beat the mounted yeomen. A better picture of it. And then over here, coming back to the Empire, he's going to try and redirect these Grail Knights away with some archers, but it's probably too little too late. Over here, showing more of the middle, he's going to be rallying with the halberdiers. The comet is not going to come down. It's just going to get stronger. And really, they're kind of in an awkward spot where the halberdiers ended up. So he had to go this way to keep the whole inch rules going on. Otherwise, he sends a steam tank into this lance, which is normally a pretty good thing. But remember, there's heroic killing blow, and they'll be steadfast. Over here, what remains of these knights go into his knights. Or, sorry, it would have been the other way around. Now, here's something that he did, and that was casting Final Trans into this unit here. Now, Final Trans onto knight units, you know, that can be pretty nice. Turn them into gold, maybe snipe out some characters, stuff like that. But unfortunately, it's direct damage, as you can see there, and you actually can't do that into combat. So a little bit of a rules mess up here. This would have been better done before, but what can you do? Otherwise, you can kind of see here on the left that, you know, the knight is still running and stuff like that. Evil Pegasus Knights refuse to die, just doing a wound to them with various shooting. Or actually, no, I believe that one shows that they were going to be shooting, and then the Hellblaster does make them go away in a poof of smoke. So those guys are going to die. Otherwise, over here, this Trebuchet is still staying alive, and that one knight still hiding away. So many pictures. I think he must be in the school of Once Bitten. And again, you'll need to go to his battle report to really get the full justice of it. But he also, you can see now the Pegasus Knights are all gone. Over here, he beats that lance and runs it down. So this is really important because he's going to get all those points. Plus, they're now in a spot where they can be either going after this knight, which they just missed, or at least going after the archers and the trebuchet. Over here, he actually kills tons of these knights. That was really good. I mean, really, it can go really bad, right? Impact hits or random. He'll get his 5+ ward against it. Still has a pretty good armor save. But going back, he gets killing blowed. So that is not good. Over here, the comet still didn't come down. So this thing just gets stronger and stronger. And then on the Bretonnians' turn, they're going to charge into the War Altar. So really things are starting to shut down now. Over here, he's going to be charging with these knights. And yeah, those archers are so dead. And yeah, this is kind of more of an overall. And you can really see how there's just like this little remnants of the Empire holdout. But at the same time, you know, the Bretonnians have really taken a real beating as well. So here, this comet still refuses to fall. You know, if this comet did fall, there's so much here that would die. But luckily for the Empire player, it is holding back. And after this is all done, oh, this can't be done yet. Yeah, here we go. Archer's dead. And reform. Over here, he's going against the warrior. He's going to be killing the Archlector on top. And then it's going to break, and he's going to overrun into the archers over here. And this is what it's looking like now. So we got a running little Pope-mobile and halberdiers facing the wrong way. At least you got that Hellblaster that can try and do some damage to, say, like the Grail Knights. So there we go. Just moving wizards around best they can. Things are basically just moving away now. He rallied, I believe, with the Pope-mobile, so that's good for him. And really, like I said, characters and halberdiers just kind of moving away from the comet, because the comet's going to fall down eventually, and he just wants to save himself. And the comet does fall, so he picked the right time, but it actually doesn't go that far out, so it's really just going to be hitting this Hellblaster. Otherwise, over here, he goes for another final trans, and again, that's direct damage, so that wasn't really possible. And that's, at least it didn't do crippling damage, but I mean, again, just a little rules mistake. Did a little bit of wounds here to characters, I guess, from the archers, which seems odd. More, I'm assuming this is destroying shooting from the Hellblaster. No, the Hellblaster's going to... What happened here? So these guys are going to take some wounds. They're going to kill the archers. They're going to reform. Did that comet not fall yet? Am I doing spoilers? Jeez. Over here, we still just got the knights who are going to charge the Pope-mobile, and it's going to take off. There it goes running. They're going to go into the level 4 mage here, because the level 4 mage has been a jerk to them. Now the comet's going to fall. So, again, one of the problems of trying to have to remember and go through a bajillion pictures, but now the comet's going to fall. So at least, man, again, he got a little bit lucky here. This thing could have gotten way more damage done, but now it's going to kill the Hellblaster, I think, hopefully. And yeah, here's where it's just going to go out like 5 inches, and Hellblaster dead. Over here, he's going to be beating up this guy and overrunning. And fuzzy picture, just kind of showing what this looks like now, where really the Empire is being cleaned up. And the Halberdiers, though, reforming, and now they're 5 wide, and they're kind of a good combat block, but the Pope-mobile is still running. Over here, trying to do some blast to these knights and trying to whittle them down even more and get to those points. I'm thinking it might have been better actually just to charge in the Hurricaneum. You know, between the impact hits and the flank and the charge, they can't flee. That probably would have been the better thing to do. Still got cannons and stuff you can try and shoot. But they're going to keep on coming. This must have been a failed charge. So now we're back to the Bretonians again. They have failed the charge to get to the cannon, giving them another chance. These knights don't want to be fighting that block now that they're so whittled. So they kind of swift reform and get out of trouble. But you can also see there's that single knight at the top, which probably should be on the far board edge, but it's ran over here. They are able with the shooting, and this seems a little bit odd here too, but this mage was sitting behind the unit, and I guess the archers on the hill actually shot him down. So, yeah, I guess sometimes luck happens. Otherwise, we got this over here still going on, the little Hurricaneum just turning around. This is going to finally rally. And now what's going to happen here is he's going to swift reform to just be too wide, and that's going to allow the witch hunter to actually be in range to shoot that knight, and he's actually going to shoot him with his pistols and kill him. So he's going to actually score all those points. A little bit janky, but he made it work. Otherwise, he has he's throwing a spell here on his cannon just because he has nothing else to really cast spells on. Yeah, knight's going to die here. He's going to charge into the cannon and the master engineer, and that's going to be it for them. Yeah, dead cannon, dead engineer. And so that's really the game. And interestingly enough, when they looked it all over and added up all the points, it was a tie. So that's the game, and now I'll do kind of my analysis of it. So there's the game. You know, to be honest, I did not give it justice. The link is down below. You probably will want to check it out. I mean, if you want to wonder with like what happened here, you know, this doesn't really make sense. Go to the actual battle report. I'm sure if something's confusing, it's just because I said it incorrectly or in a confusing way. So either way, you'll want to be going to check out his channel. But now is the point where after I want to be really going and looking at what was his list, how did he deploy, and how did he play the game. Now, one thing to say about the list here is that this is not straight up, oh, let's just take a list and play like I do. This is with tournament comp. And so some of the things that are done in here are because of comp. With the South Coast GT comp, they gave a rating of 3, is what he said in his battle report. But I'm going to go through here and talk about the things that were a little bit what I thought about them. So first of all, you have your Arch Lector, which is going to have the War Altar. It's going to have the Charm Shield, which is a pretty good idea for a dude that's standing out in the middle of nowhere. And also the Opal Amulet. Opal Amulet, I don't know if you really need to have that there. If you have the free 15 points, I suppose. But something you normally do see here is the whole mirror, where if you challenge me, we swap stats. Especially because in a key component like this, they're going to be coming at you. So in his battle report, he has these little bubbles where the guy is saying, like, why do not have the speculum or whatever. But that's probably the more common thing here. But again, it could be not there because of comp. Then he's going to have his Wizard Lord that has the 4+ Ward, the Talisman and Preservation. You know, sure, why not? Then he also has his level 1 that's going to have his Dispel Scroll. That one's also, sorry, that's his level 2 that has the Dispel Scroll. Then he's going to be having his other Battle Wizard here that's going to be just naked, having nothing on him at all. As far as those are kind of set up, sure, why not? You know, sometimes I go cheap and I don't put on the 4+ Ward, but hey, why not? If you want that there, go ahead. I mean, of course, the biggest thing I can say is how he went for Lore of Metal on the level 4. It worked out nice here, but otherwise, you probably do want to focus that synergy. If you're going to do Light Council, just go all chips in, right? And go for the 2 super banishments. But, you know, I can see where possibly if he sees a lot of 1+ saves, which were pretty common before elves came out, maybe it's really built to be dealing with that. Witch Hunter, Witch Hunters are nice. Can't really say anything bad there. He has his BSB with the Enchanted Shield. It's cheap. Why not? 47 Halberdiers with the 2 detachments of Archers. Again, the Archers, if you want to do them as 5s, they're probably going to be zipping up and they're going to be redirecting. If you want a bunker, they should be 10, just to be a little bit safer. Otherwise, it's like just a little pittance of arrows or a magic missile away before they can snipe out your characters, because there's not 5 of the models. And as well, if you are going to use the Archers just going forward, you probably don't want to have your mages in your halberdier unit, so you probably want to have a separate bunker. Maybe things are tight for points, but still, I mean, I would definitely put some thought into it, especially where here you have 2 units of regular knights. Now, those aren't bad choices by any stretch of the imagination, but one of those could easily be turned into a bunker, no problem. As well, I mean, something you could also do is if you have one of them turning to a smaller bunker, the other points could be going into making 2 more units of detachments of 5 archers. And then you have 4 little speed bumps running around out there. Then he has 4 demigriffs. He has the Hurricanum, he has a steam tank, he has a master engineer, he has the cannon, and he has the hell blaster. And those are all good choices. I usually cheap out and I wouldn't take the engineer because it's a lot of points when you really look at it. But I can't really doubt people or say bad things. So I really think the biggest thing my thing on the list is really just around the whole idea of having the right bunker for all those characters, because really this list is built around characters. You need to keep them safe. So that's really the part for the list. Next up, going on deployment, we really already touched on that in the actual game. Really looking at it, I really thought when I saw the lists and what terrain was there that, man, I mean, the Empire have this no problem. But as they kind of said, it makes some mistakes going up on the hill. But from the deployment and focusing on that, again, you are on a list that focuses on having shooting and with characters and magical death, and as well you got your war machines as well. You probably really want a bunker, and your first priorities with those cannons have to be those trebs. They just have to die so that they can't be taking out your own power, and then all of a sudden, once you take those trebs out, they got nothing, and that's really going to force them to come to you. And especially then with that hill, there's going to have been some really big advantage for if you don't want to castle and use the river, castling on the other side and using that hill as a massive, massive advantage. And again, I mean, he wants to gravitate with his hero killing blow lord towards your stank, but even when it comes up to it, you don't need to go into it. You can say, okay, go get him, halberdiers. I'll leave the steam tank over here. I don't need to dedicate it. Or if this is a 20-0 and you just want to get all the kills you can, okay, sure, go get them. But probably not. It's just not worth the risk. So that's really deployment. The way the game was played, obviously, the biggest mistake was probably going up onto the hill and giving them the charge. Again, he freely says in his battle report that he's playing more of a casual game. It's like, let's just kind of see what happens. As well, we talked about the halberdiers, how when they first took that first hit, and they went wide, that just really made them completely useless. They probably should have gone 5 wide, because really, at that point, if they want to send more trebs going after that block, that's great. That means it's not going after your cannons or also other vital things, say like your war altar or steam tank or something like that. If they want to be really pounding on these halberdiers, that's all right. You have other elements that you can be using, because really, seriously, in the end, the most damage you're going to be doing is going to be with your spells and stuff like that, and your shooting. So really trying to focus on that stuff. That's really the biggest part I can say there. Otherwise, once those 2 mistakes were made, the Empire the Bretonnians were kind of all over them, and it got really, really messy. One of the things that could probably also been done is where the Knights first broke through and you hit them with the steam tank, you didn't really need to even do that. The steam tank probably could have turned, done another shot, say at the cannon or something else. They're going to turn their lance to face your steam tank, and then you just ditch and you get out of there. And they're going to basically chase the steam tank. Meanwhile, you're just like going around and playing with it while your Hellblaster is just shooting the hell out of them. Meanwhile, I mean, what happened in this case is a steam tank goes into it, it dies, and not only do you lose the steam tank, but then they're also able to reform and charge into the main lines. So there was also that as well. So there you go. That's Gommo's Itchy Nuisance. Sorry if I butchered his battle report, but you know, he's made a lot more after these. So go over to his channel, check it out, and we'll catch you next time for another Malorian Spotlight.